We're up to Perkei's Mishnah Yadal, last three Mishnayos in the second Perkei Avos. Zok the Mishnah, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Havish Shakadul Mod Torah, a person should be very shakad, consistent, should be running after learning Torah. V'dama shetoshav apikoros. Interesting juxtaposition. One should know how to answer an apikoros. A person who comes with tainas on the religion, a person should know how to answer him. V'da lifnimi ata omo. And one should know in front of who he is toiling. V'ne'eman hu ba'al malachtecha she'ishal malach schar pulasecha. And a person should know that the ba'al malacha, the one who is our boss, is ne'eman. He's trustworthy, and he's going to pay the schar pula. He's going to give us the schar. So this seems to be a contradiction a little bit in the first parak about a person, we should be over Hashem like avodah hamisham shenasarav shlo amanas lekabel pras or amanas shlo lekabel pras. We shouldn't be thinking about the reward. Here, Rabbi Eliezer is instructing us, we should know, v'ne'eman hu ba'al malachtecha she'isham lach schar pulasecha. You're going to get reward for the mitzvahs. We'll have to see in Rabbeinu Yonah how that stems with the Mishnah in Perek Aleph. So Rabbeinu Yonah says, a person should be shakad lilmod Torah, sheyikva atzmai lilmod Torah, k'dei sheyeda lahashiv al divrei ha'apikoros. A chiddush, that a person should learn Torah. Why? So there's Torah lishma. We learn Torah because that's the way it's what Hashem is mitzavos. V'yigisu b'yom v'layla. But there's another kavana a person should have when he learns Torah, is to be able to answer the apikoros. Shim lo yishivu k'fita noisav ushkarav yilmudu ha'olam mehem v'yishtuman haroim v'roisim kinotzeach oisai. That if a person doesn't know how to answer the apikoros, so when the apikoros comes with tainas, now I can't answer him. Others are going to see that he has good, kashas on Yiddishkeit, and the Talmud Chacham, the Rav, can't answer him. Nimtza shem shemayim mischalo. Tzachil Hashem. So therefore, we should learn with the kavana, a secondary kavana at least, is to know how to answer the apikoros.
So it doesn't mean that we should have a curriculum set up to teach yeshiva bachrim how to answer apikoros. And you don't see anyone answering up how you answer up the missionaries regarding Yeshaya, how they, we don't know it. And if one of us gets, approached on the street, we don't know how to answer them.
Right. So
should we be
having some sort of
have seder or something like teach all Yeshiva about this is what they say.
All Jews.
All Jews, yeah. Right, whatever. Right.
In high school, we had a guy, Jews for Judaism, come in and teach how to answer. But that's one-time
lecture.
Right.
Okay, so there are people like that. There's Tuvia Singh or whatever. There are people that do that. But
speaking made between missionaries who they say mama shouldn't talk to, like that. That being said, they have ways that you can shlug them up very easily. They're not holding in the Bible.
It's not a deep knowledge.
Yeah, they have a few points that they make, if one knows a little bit.
If you catch them, then they're like, "Oh, can we just send you literature?"
Right.
I don't know what to do.
Right, but that's a good question. I mean, should we have that? So, there was someone told me the Kiddush yesterday and said that he was at work on Tzom Gedalia and he wasn't eating. So they asked him. There's some Jews and non-Jews, other people in the office, and they asked him, how come you're not eating? Who here can answer that question on Tzom Gedalia? So Baruch Hashem, he had good ideas in but why are you fasting? Oh, because the Gedalia ben Achikam, who was he? When did he live? What was so this person Taka knew and he was able to answer. But imagine a little bit of a chil Hashem if we wouldn't know how to answer that basic question. That when you're doing things, you don't know why you're doing it. For us, it's not so schwer. That's the Chazal say, so I do it. I'm a person's erech, listen to Chazal. But, one has to be careful to make sure he doesn't make a chil Hashem to the outside world. So getting back to your point, should that be in the curriculum? There was a ma'aseh with Reb Chaim, that there was a yid who went off the derech, and he was an apikoros. And he had a lot of kashas for Reb Chaim. A lot of kashas wanted to ask Reb Chaim Soloveitchik. So Reb Chaim told him, he said, for kashas, I have time. I'll answer all your questions. I'll spend the whole day with you to answer your questions. But if they're terutzim, so I don't have terutzim for terutzim. In other words, if your kashas are really justifications for your new lifestyles, then there's no point in getting into a back and forth. But if you have a real question that you want me to answer, an emunah and bitachon, whatever it might be, so I have all the time in the world for you. So how does that relate to this Mishnah here? The Mishnah is saying that that's not the point over here. The point is someone's going to come in front of the whole shul and say, have some kasha on whatever it is on Shabbos, right? So if we can't answer that question, it's a chil Hashem. So it's not about whether he's an erlecha apikoros or non-erlecha apikoros. The point is that every frum Jew has an obligation to be able to answer a person who has kasha on the religion. Someone says, The world is 20 million years old. We have evidence, potassium argon dating. We see the fossils that are found. So you have to have answers to that. So it appears like.
I find that it at least happens to me very often with Baal Tshuvas. They ask innocently, why do we do this? And something that you've been taking for granted your whole life, and you don't think about the reason, and then they ask you, and you're like, I'm not really sure. It's like a basic thing. It's like they want to know why honestly, they want to know why you're doing it, and then you realize you don't know necessarily the reason, and
right.
it's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, but how does one deal in such a situation? So the number one rule in teaching is never to be embarrassed to say I don't know. Right? The Rabbi, the teacher, is not mechuyev to know the answer to every single question he could ask, especially if it's a Gemara shiur. Sometimes the kids ask wonderful kashas that the Rabbi never thought of. Right? So the same thing here. I don't know if it's Shem Shema Mischalo. B'di'evid at least. Someone comes and asks a kasha. They say, I don't know. I know there's an answer. I'm going to research it and get back to you. And you get back to him. It could be that's B'di'evid a key in this Mishnah. But as per John's point, I would say Misvara, we should have some sort of focus on this, but we don't find it. So we have to ask how come no one is focusing on this. On equipping people. I guess, like I'm sure if it's a Baruch, it's the Kier of people who are training the Kier professionals. I'm sure I'm sure they know all these.
They're our priority, really.
I mean, Rabbi Orlovsky holds that no one really cares. He says he says you don't have to no one really cares. No one really has any kashas. They just want you to show them, Varmkeit and the lifestyle, and he holds, and Rav Leichter also, it's very careful, if a physicist comes with a kasha on Yiddishkeit, be very careful when you answer them. First of all, they know more than you. And secondly, that's not really their kasha. No one is from because I have an answer to the 20 million year old world Zach. And no one's not from because they don't have an answer. Right? That's not really what makes a person from enough. And there's other things going on. The Pasha terrorist to that, by the way, is we know that Adam Arishan, when he came into existence, he was 30 years old. That's Chazal tells us, a 30-year-old man. That means if a doctor would give him a physical a second after he came into existence, he would say, a perfectly healthy 30-year-old man. He was really 1 second old. But he looked 30 years old. Right? So too the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world to look 200 million years old. Yeah. How can you refute that? It's impossible. I think. Right? So, but it's a good question. Let's maybe the Shtiba will have a Yom Yun on all the kashas that Just don't want to give anyone any ideas. Okay, but as a statement in Perkei was the person's mechuyev to stop that Chil Hashem and have the answers. The third statement of Rabbi Eliezer is Dam l'fnei mi ata amol. Know who in front of whom are you being amol? L'fnei boichin klayos v'lei. A person is being amol. He's toiling in front of Kadosh Baruch Hu, knows exactly what a person's thinking. V'chi silmad Torah titrach v'tasim kavnasecha ba b'zeh teda lahashid asapikayris. So know that you're toiling in front of a Kadosh Baruch Hu knows your kavanas, and therefore a person should matriach himself to understand the Torah in order to answer the apikayris. And when a person's miyagei in Torah, he should know that this is going to give him a certain pleasure down the line, even though it's hard now, it's very pleasurable later on. It's unclear to me exactly what the connection is between Dam Ashtosh Lapikoris and this idea of toiling in Torah that gives you a pleasure later on. I'm not sure what the connection is exactly, but that's how the Rabbeinu is learning. And a person also should know that the Ba Malacha is definitely going to give you the schar. V'loi says the Rabbeinu Yonah shetasim malachas atayra remiyah. So you can't try to cut corners because the Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to give schar to a person who deserves the schar. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. The second pshat he says v'oid ki lo hizhiru ladas ezekadei la'avodas ha'malkam Baruch Hu mipnei sibas haschar. The Mishnah is not telling us that we over Hashem for the schar. That's not the reason why it's telling it to us. Ela shekishem she'adam chayiv lachkor v'leida. A person's mechuyev to understand the Kadosh Baruch Hu and his chesed to us and his godless, in order to create the love to Hashem. So part of that is knowing that I'm going to get schar. So I'm not being over Hashem for the schar, but the fact that I'm going to get schar is part of my obligation to understand the Kadosh Baruch Hu so I can love him more. How does one understand Hashem? One learns Torah, one understands how Hashem works, even though we're not worthy, still Hashem gives us slicha and kapara. That engenders the love. So when we know that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is given schar for the mitzvahs, that helps us have feelings of ahava towards the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's not why we're being Oved Hashem. That's what the Rabbeinu Yonah says. Mishnah Tezvav for Tarfin Omer Hayom Kotzer v'Malachim Aruba uPa'al Matzelim v'Aschar Harbe uBaal Bayis Doichik. Zakub Tarfin, the day is short. In other words, as we said in the Sana Toikif a few days ago, it's not a long time, like a tzel over, like a passing shadow, like a passing shade. Life is very short, if you look at it objectively in the history of the world, it's fleeting. Hamalachim Aruba, and there's a lot to do. And it's kimat impossible to plummet the depths of the Torah in Gansen, to learn everything. Malachim Aruba, v'Pa'al Matzelim, and the workers are lazy. We're not always pushing ourselves to learn a lot. But there's a lot of schar, and the Baal Bayis is there. Kadosh Baruch Hu is pushing us to make sure that we are learning properly, right? The Rabbeinu says, Baal Bayis doichik. Shalat ba'alamay sheyitzava le've'encha kupayla oisipu laso b'kiboilis. It's not like we're getting paid for the job. Im yasim ma'at, nois nois schar mu'at. If he works a little bit, he gets a little bit of schar. Im oisa harbe, nois nois schar harbe, he works a lot, he gets a lot of schar. L'fi cheshbon shepasku al malacha kala. V'ein habarlim kpeidin, ela Kadosh Baruch Hu mitzava oischa meleches ha'torah. We get whatever we can do, we have to do. It's not like do this. So if I made a smaller table, I get a small amount of money. Make a bigger table, bigger amount of money. Kadosh Baruch Hu is always pushing us to do more and more and more. So it's not that get the job done. If I do make a little house, a little bit of money, big house, big money. Kadosh Baruch Hu is pushing us to make as big as we can. And there's a punishment if one doesn't do so. So the Baal Bayis is doichik. Last mission, the Perkei, he would say, is Reb Tarfin, Lo alecha malacha ligmor, as the song goes from the mission, right? Lo alecha malacha ligmor. It's not my cheshbon. When I begin the year, my commitment to Torah and Tavshin Pei, when I begin the year, it's not about me thinking to myself, okay, I have to finish Shas this year. Right? Lo alecha malacha ligmor. I don't have to finish the entire house. I don't have to build the entire house. But at the same time, just because I can't finish the whole curriculum doesn't mean at all that I can be mevatel from it. The more I learn, the more schar I get. Again, the Kadosh Baruch Hu is trustworthy; he's going to pay my schar. But a person should know one should not expect to get the schar in this world. One should realize that the schar is going to come in the world to come. We'll hold you next week.